Hi Sandra, who are we going to talk about today?
Hi Pauline, we're going to talk about one of Ahlam Mosteghanemi's most beautiful novels, Black Suits You Well. The work was originally written in Arabic under the title Al-Aswad Yaliqo Biki. My opinion is honestly subjective because I found this story absolutely beautiful. It's a story overflowing with passion in all its forms. You know, it's a romantic passion between a man and a woman, a religious belief that leads
Mhm.
away from God through murder and terrorism, and a familial passion for those who die under the terrorist bullets and for those who are still alive and suffering from a painful past. The writing style can be summed up in one word, only one word, poetic. Pauline, you weren't familiar with Ahlam before preparing this episode. Can you tell us what you discovered or who you discovered?
Yes, Sandra, of course. And then in this situation, honestly, to think about Ahlam's book is kind of a way to escape the reality that we are living now in.
Especially
So,
that now I'm hearing bombs, honestly. Just now, I just
wow,
heard bombs. And they
wow.
are bombing Dahye. Yes,
So the listeners should understand how much it's sometimes hard. So I'm really grateful for you, Sandra, to be doing this episode currently now. So,
yes.
to answer your question, no, I didn't know Ahlam before doing this research, and it was a wonderful surprise to discover who she was. She was born in Tunisia in 1953. She's the daughter of the Algerian revolutionary Mohammed Sharif, who was wanted by the French colonial authorities. At 17, Ahlam had to support her family after the ill of her dad. So she started working at the Algerian National Radio and she became known for her poetry program, Whispers.
She's such an activist. It reminds me of you, Pauline. You also work at the radio station RFE in Hamra, I
Ah,
believe, at the
correct.
beginning of your career. And I know it was the good old days, and it's very common between you and her.
Yeah, I know. And honestly, she like there were also another thing that reminded me
We have
of
in common.
yeah, that we have in common. She lived also and she was settled in Paris, um, thing that I did too. But she married the Lebanese journalist Georges Rassel in the late 1970s. She also, after she lived in Lebanon, where she published her famous novel The Memory of the Flesh, which achieved international success in 1993.
Yes, it's Zakirat al-Jasad, a huge success.
Mm.
She's a great novelist, Pauline, honestly, and she's a remarkable person also. In 2016, UNESCO appointed her an artist for peace for 2 years for her commitment. And if we want to talk a little about Ahlam's novel in general, again, The Memory of the Flesh remains the one that has received the most awards. Najib Mahfouz Medal for Literature, Best Book Award at the Arab Authors Festival in Beirut in 1997, and not to mention UNESCO's recognition, which included this book in its A Book in a Newspaper series to promote reading.
Nice. Promote reading is also one thing that we have been doing with this podcast now. So the novel, the
Hopefully.
first novel, yeah, we are hopefully. Black Suits You Well is not only known for the awards it had received, but it's one of her most famous and widely read works. Imagine, it sold over 100,000 copies in 2 months. And yet, it's true. Reading it, you understand its success.
A huge success. Because the novels is about a huge love story, indeed, with national issues. The story takes place between Algeria and Lebanon, and it's about the emotional conflict between Talal Hashim, he's a mysterious Lebanese billionaire in his 50s, and Hala Al-Wafi, it's a young Algerian singer living in Beirut. She is still mourning her father and brother killed by terrorists in Algeria. Talal is captivated by Hala's dignity and pain, so he sets out to court her. Luxurious gift, royal invitation, using his influence and wealth to seduce the woman. This male character, Talal, he's fascinating and he exerts his fascination through his ability to anticipate this woman emotion. And we can read in the book this beautiful quote. He had read her even before she wrote. He knew her silences, her hesitation, and the darkness she wore like armor, but which, to him, was made of glass. And
Yes,
you know that the glass is breakable.
absolutely. It perfectly shows the state of emotional submission that she found herself in when faced with his intelligence. So Hannah wasn't in love with him, but rather with his ability to understand her silences and the small details that no one else noticed. Sandra Hella fought fearlessly against her feelings for Talal, so as not to be reduced as a free woman to a mere page in his book. We read, she knew that pride is the only thing left when we have lost everything, and she clung to it like a life way in the middle of an ocean of desire.
Yes. So it's her pride again and again. Because the essence of the novel lies in the conflict between the power of money, Pauline, which is
Mhm.
held by Talal, of course, and Hala's fierce pride. The man sought to possess Hala like a work of art, while she strove to preserve her independence and her wounded identity. She believed that black suits her well because it represented her cause. And it wasn't only, a beautiful color that suits her. Talal then said to her, this now, it's really an iconic line. Black suits you so well. It suits your mourning, but it suits my victory over your heart even better. So we really can see the you know the I will not say the manipulation because he really liked her, but I'd rather say this fascination that the man was very aware of and that he exerted on her mind. She was fascinated again by his intelligence, his power, because he was different from her.
Yeah. So I know that wearing black, it's important. Like you really like the black and you love the black. It's your favorite color. It's still wearing black doesn't necessarily mean that we see the word in black, and this is the case too for Hala. It's actually quite the opposite. Listen to this beautiful quote. Wearing black is choosing silence in a world that screams. It's an elegance that asks nothing of anyone.
I think this is the most touching quote that we just, between all the quotes we mentioned before. Wearing black is choosing silence in a world that screams. Wow, really wow.
Mm,
Pauline, their relationship ends with Hala's triumph over herself. She discovers that Talal is incapable of grasping the depths of her tragedy, and she decides to leave him to recover her art and her dignity. Because love shouldn't be a transaction after all. Because Talal is married, if he's a father, and of course he has a social life in Beirut. And we read in the novel, he wanted to buy her with jewels. She wanted to conquer him with her words. He finally understood that his empire was nothing compared to a single note of her music.
nice. Music is so important, and for an artist or for any kind of like art, it's amazing. So Talal treated Hala as if she were the most important transaction of his life, but he forgot that the heart of a woman who has worn black as mourning clothes is not tempted by the whiteness of diamonds. So next time, Sandra, we go to Cairo. So we're changing from diamonds into a very, let's say, day-to-day life to talk about Khalid Khomeini's book. And the title of the book is Taxi.
Yes, and this book is one of the best selling and most influential works of modern Egyptian literature. So it's the listener who carries the opinions and concerns of Cairo's taxi driver before the 2011 revolution. So
Nice.
it's
Yeah.
again, it's the author Khaled Al-Khamissi, and we are really excited to discover this book, Pauline.
So we go back to 2011, knowing that so we are in 2026, and I think the situation in the Middle East and in the region is still very.
From as we
It's
see.
post revolution before revolution after revolution. Okay,
Okay.
so we are going to say thank you for our listening. Thank you for listening until the end. And so stay updated and follow us please on Spotify, follow us on Apple, on Anrami, and on Deezer too. And join us please on Instagram. And see you next time for our new book. Goodbye.